As I think about trying to capture tonight and this journey leading up to the gala, one word seems to be constant in my thoughts and in my feelings, and that's being overwhelmed. When I look out over this room, I see it as a perfect picture of God's faithfulness to me and this organization. The weeks leading up to the event have been wonderful. Simply pausing, seeing how every single encounter, every single conversation, every victory, and every defeat is evidence of God's faithfulness. My Wesley Family Service story, though, starts before 1999. It was in 1976 when Linda's smile, those gorgeous blue eyes, and a sweet love for God overwhelmed me. They still do today, my love. And together, we've experienced God's faithfulness in getting more than we ever could have asked or imagined. And then in 1984 and 1987, we were overwhelmed by two beautiful children, Amanda and Matt. Our faith and our family are important to us, and so when a career change opportunity came in 1999, we felt a leading to Wesley Institute. That was one of the precursor organizations to Wesley Family Services today. And quite frankly, shifting industries from the for-profit side to the nonprofit was somewhat overwhelming to us. On one of my first tours, it was at the Cassidy Drive School over in Baldwin Whitehall. I was so overwhelmed by just everything that was going on. You see, I kind of grew up in a sports-minded family. We were taught to persevere. Pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Keep on keeping on. Well, that first tour at that school was like a freight train. And I thought, oh my, I don't think bootstraps are gonna do it. And I was simply overwhelmed by the experience. And now for 25 years, I've had a front row seat, watching committed, passionate, self-sacrificing staff. You know what I'm going to say, right? Because they're focused. They empower children, adults, and families by providing transformational care. Many are here this evening. It means the world to me that you're here, and I'm overwhelmed by that. It's also an honor to share tonight this year's Quality Whole Person Care Impact Award winners. When I've read through their stories, their consideration of the whole person and what they do to accomplish that is overwhelming. It's also a blessing to serve under the governance of well over 100 board members over these 25 years. Their leadership and their support has been consistently overwhelming. Our past honorees, your stories of support for this organization with absolutely no expectation of gaining anything in return, but for the advancement of mission is also overwhelming. Our business partners, many of you in the room tonight, surpass our expectations. We have high expectations, best-in-class service and products, a commitment to mission, and letting us know what the very smartest and most entrepreneurial players in the marketplace are doing. For every single business partner we approached about tonight, every single one of them gave generously, and that's overwhelming. Our family, many of which have expressed their congratulations to us in many ways. I also think of my mom and dad. My mom's in Georgia. My dad passed away a few years ago. They loved coming to the gala. They provided a great family and great support over the years. We also tonight have friends from the community and from church sacrificing to come tonight to hear Wesley's story of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Linda and I are overwhelmed, and we're also so thankful and humbled by you coming tonight. So as you can see, I'm staying more to script than what I normally do because I was worried about my emotion. So I'm still worried about it. But let me tell you what really drives me, and I don't have to look at my notes for this. You know, it's the stories over 25 years that have etched something in my heart. And you heard these comments. I understand that when you're a marketing and sales guy, you need to have an anchor when you walk into the nonprofit, social service, wellness space. And so mission became everything. So let me just kind of share some of that context. We have what we call a drop-in center at our New Kensington location. It's where folks with severe and persistent mental illness as adults come and are able to drop in. Why? It's safe and they can be empowered by people listening to what their dreams and what their aspirations are. And we see firsthand what that empowerment does. Just a few months ago, we had some landscape, we wanted to do some gardening, and we took it to that group, and they embraced it enthusiastically. Why? Because somebody was willing to empower them. And I don't have to go into a lot of details, but there are folks with severe persistent mental illness that act different than us in this room. They smell different, they have different challenges. I could go on and on. But they deserve to be empowered. The next is our acknowledgement. These people that are getting the Quality Whole Person Care Award tonight, they understand this, that every person has a unique gift that only they have and that they will only ever have into eternity. I mean, think about that. Think about the way that you'll operate if you think somebody has a gift that nobody else has ever had or ever will have into eternity. That's a pretty powerful thought. So in the fall of 2022, September, what a great moment it was. We had the grand opening of an all-weather synthetic surface 70-yard field at Wesley School. It's amazing, right? Not so much the field, but why? Because we really believed, we put educational opportunities around that field. This was opening day. The cheerleaders were on the field. They were screaming. Our flag football team comes out in their jerseys. There's this big banner that crosses, and they burst through. And I just thought to myself, this is recognizing that we need assets and focus to make sure that we take time to recognize the gift that each person that we serve, understand what it is, so then we can go from there. And that day, that fall, just reminded me of what it is for every person to have that unique gift. One of my other favorite things I get to do, not very often, is we have a day program out near Harmerville. It's a really large building, and it's primarily for our IDD population. IDD stands for intellectual and developmentally disabled. And I walk through there. Their eyes sparkle. I get handshakes. I get hugs. I get my picture taken. And on one occasion, I even had one ask me if I would be her male suitor, and staff had to remind her that I'm madly in love with my wife, Linda. But every single one of them is valuable. And when you act upon that, amazing things happen. And what about this concept of doing what's in every person's best interest? This goes back a number of years. And we have a foster care program. And I was really captured by the idea that there are kids that are way beyond being babies and infants. And they know and they yearn for a forever family. Think about that. Not having a safe, unconditional, loving family. And so our staff put together this activity, and it was a canoe trip down the lazy Youghiogheny. And so I was in that boat with two kiddos. We got to connect because of the experience, and I just was so taken back, but I was so pleased that staff took time to try to do what was in their best interest, to give them an activity that spoke of their value, that spoke of their need to do things that other kids get to do, and that just being labeled as a foster kid would not keep them from a lazy jaunt down the Youghiogheny River. Innovation. One of my favorite stories comes out of COVID. We have a thing called the St. Margaret's Shuttle, and it's a shuttle service to get people to medical appointments, both on the physical health side and their behavioral health, mental health appointments. And so 2 weeks into COVID, most of the transportation services around our region were closing. And one of our drivers, in conjunction with our facilities team, found a spray that would dry in 5 minutes that would appropriately sanitize the car. And so we kind of were curious as to why there was such a push to accomplish this and to keep the shuttle going. And this driver shared with us that one of his clients had terminal cancer, and he was afraid he wouldn't get to his appointment. And then he said, I also think I'm his only friend. So innovation is important. It's been the bedrock of our organizations going back 100 years. And I just thought this just reminded me how important it is. So there you have it, right? You have this idea of mission of empowering kids, families, and adults by providing transformational care. I know from experience that if people act upon the fact that every person has a gift, every person is valuable, we should do what's in that person's best interest, even when it may require self-sacrifice, and that we continue to innovate. The end result is a sense of inspiration. And we hope that tonight brings that for you. The last story of inspiration happened very early on when I was in my 25 years. And it was a story that a mom told us. Her son was 8 years old. He was nonverbal and had autism. So he would use a tablet to kind of communicate. And so they're in the kitchen, as the story goes. The mom has her back to the son. She's at the sink. He's at the table with a pad. And she really didn't believe what she heard. In an audible voice, he said, "I love you, Mommy." That's what happens. That's why we're so grateful for you to be here tonight. Because when we bring our resources, and you think about what's in this room, amazing things can happen for mission. So let me finish with this. Tonight, to my sweet bride, Linda, Matt, Amanda, your awesome spouses, Brad and Mallory, our 6 beautiful grandchildren, Mila, Mateo, Seth, Marco, Judah, and sweet Shiloh. I am so glad you're here to see me overwhelmed. And more importantly, I'm glad that you can see firsthand God's faithfulness in giving me countless treasures, evidenced by this room. Hundreds of meaningful relationships represented at each of these 54 tables across this room. In some way, over the last 25 years, we've connected to empower children, adults, and families by providing transformational care. In the past, yesterday, and today, and the future is waiting for us to do more for more. I'm ready. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.